Welcome to week 13 of Game Day Recap. A wild game here on Sunday. A wild day, I should say. 3 more teams knocked out of the playoff picture. Thanks for playing Las Vegas, New Orleans, and Tennessee. It is full steam ahead towards the NFL draft for some of these teams. But for others, it was a pretty good day. We saw the Buffalo Bills get back on track. Josh Allen making some history along the way. We saw the Panthers sneak away with another upset win. And it's safe to say that the Max Brosmer experiment is officially over. Vikings held to no points today, another abysmal loss. And there's still plenty more to talk about here on Game Day Recap. So let's get with the fellas here. We're jazzed up, playing some music, setting the tone, getting ready for an exciting week 3. We got the full gang back together too, guys.
Come on now. We're going to have a hell of a show.
How was that week off, by the way? Fun?
Well, y'all had a great replacement. We got Logan Ryan, one of CBS's finest. Got him some work, man. Y'all did y'all's thing. I kept up. Y'all did y'all's thing.
Listen, we've got a rotating cast of characters, and you guys all do it well. We've got Pete Prisco, the international spokesperson for kickers. Lately,
love my kickers.
You love kickers lately. We've got our team here constantly trying to set up our GM with other jobs, but we like you here on set. He's our GM.
Hey, he's like the Lane Kiffin of the GM carousel right now. I mean, golly.
I don't know if that's positive or negative.
I'm going to just hit y'all with one of these.
15 million per? You're out the door.
I'm gone. Bye. Peace. I'll see y'all. Everybody's got a price.
Our resident hater, he promised us he's going to keep it short and sweet today. So far, he's been a part of every conversation.
I come in peace. I come in peace. You know I come in peace, people. So.
We're all in peace, but we don't believe you.
Okay, we'll believe it when we see it.
Right.
Unfortunately, got to kind of kill the jokes here. We start the show with kind of a serious situation. Justin Herbert, we saw him pick up that injury in his left hand. It turns out he's going to have to go through a procedure, according to some reporting. Jim Harbaugh saying that he's going to have surgery tomorrow. Uncertain if Herbert's going to miss any time. But Pete, you pointed it out already. When you look ahead to the schedule, as we get a look here at the Chargers taking down the Raiders, but this game really wasn't the problem, Pete. It's the Eagles on the schedule, the Chiefs on the schedule next. This could be a big concern.
All 5 of their games are tough the rest of the way. I mean, it's the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Broncos. I mean, you got to have him in the lineup. If he's not playing, we saw what Trey Lance can do, which isn't a lot. And so you need Justin Herbert on the field. I think they put a splint in there or something, and then he goes out there and he plays. It's his left hand. If it was throwing hand, it would be a different story. I think he goes out and plays the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm going to put on my medical hat here because I did stay in the Holiday Inn Express last night. When he was jogging off the field, they did a still shot of him holding his hand, and it looked like the ring finger, like it may be a dislocation, or maybe that's where the break is. So that would just require them to insert a pin. I still expect him to play next week because it is his non-throwing hand. And we saw Aaron Rodgers play today with a splint on his non-throwing hand. So I expect him to be back. But like you said, those teams that they're about to play all get after the passer really well, and he's got to be able to protect that offhand.
Well, he did come back today. I mean, he did come back and play.
Yeah, but we saw him taking snaps. Before he came out. It was almost like he was doing everything possible for that hand not to touch the ball during those moments.
And really, this is your worst nightmare if you're the Chargers. I mean, you're already down your 2 best tackles, and with that, you're worried about protecting your quarterback, and then he goes down. So that's not a happy sight for anybody that's a Chargers fan. I'm with you guys. I expect him to play, but it's, when we look at these players and these injuries, it's all about how they respond. Throughout the week, we know he's going to have a procedure on Monday. How is he going to respond? The relationship that he has with the training staff, do they have a plan in place for him? Because, again, it's going to be a short turnaround, and they're going to need him to play because I know you listed their schedule. Any game would be tough for the Chargers without Justin Herbert.
Now, the problem will be handing off.
We saw that with Aaron Rodgers.
I was just going to say, we saw it with Aaron Rodgers.
You know you can't turn and hand that way. You can't do it. And you guys played running back. I mean, what do you do?
Especially handing off to the right, which is what you typically use your left hand.
So
now he's going to have to.
Yeah, and honestly, I hate to put myself on the front line here, but I had a lot of quarterbacks that would get on me because I would squeeze their hands too tight, and I would kind of pull it with them because I was so focused on hitting that hole. And when you got a young guy like Kamani Vidal who's excited, he's playing, he's getting those reps, you don't want him to tug on that hand a little too hard and then create a setback for your quarterback.
There was some positive there with Justin Herbert. He passed Dan Marino, third most passing yards in his first 6 seasons. This is kind of something we've seen him trend that way.
Why are you looking at me?
Why
are you looking at me?
I missed something.
No.
Because you know I love Marino. That's why.
Yeah. You're a Dan Marino guy.
I am a Marino
I just want to see your face whenever she said that, because usually when we compare somebody to the all-time greats, don't even talk about that guy like that.
No, I mean, look, you can't compare him. It's different eras.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is.
Can you compare Justin Herbert to these guys that he's with right now? I mean, Patrick Mahomes directly to his
except
left.
the other guys actually won playoff games. That's the biggest difference. Justin Herbert has to go win a playoff game. That's the next step for him to prove to people how good he is. And look, he's more than capable, but it's hard to do when you don't have your starting tackles. I thought they did a nice job, a better job today. They adjusted the offensive line, made some moves up front, and it seemed to pay off.
And one last thing, I'm so sorry. The one thing that I want to, point a magnifying glass on is the relationship that Justin Herbert has built with
Harbaugh.
No, not Harbaugh, the receiver.
McConkey.
No.
Quentin
Johnston. Yes. Yeah. I don't know why I was blanking on his name.
We're going to name that whole roster before we get there.
Yeah, right.
We could have been doing that.
Right. It was a guessing game. But, he's established a relationship with Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston is playing really good football right now. This is the best football he's played since entering the NFL, and I would hate to see this injury slow Herbert down and then start to slow Quentin Johnston down, because he's a piece you're going to need if you're going to get a playoff win.
Real quick, I want to pop up, if we can, the playoff picture that we have here, because I know we were kind of discussing with some of the other games that have happened in terms of the Chargers, excuse me. And Pete, I know you kind of hit this a little bit, but when it comes to the rest of the schedule for the Chargers, and looking big picture when it comes to the playoffs, how much more important, as silly as that sounds, how much more important do these next couple of weeks now become for the Chargers?
Gigantic. They can't afford losses. I mean, they're not in a position. I mean, could you lose one maybe and get in, as long as it's not to maybe the Chiefs or somebody along those lines? Then sure. But you look at that schedule. But again, the Eagles don't look as daunting as they did a week ago maybe. So that changes a little bit of how we view their schedule. But the Texans are better than what we saw from a couple weeks ago. So I think the schedule is going to be real hard to navigate for them. I really do. When you lose those tackles and you try and go play these playoff-like games, I mean, it starts with the Eagles, then at the Chiefs. That's essentially going to be an elimination game. One of you is going home. So I think it's going to be hard to navigate for them. I don't think they're going to make it. They're the one team I said when I looked at the schedule, I don't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, and we've been saying that a lot here on this show, is that was the one team that is going in the opposite direction as the Ravens, as the Chiefs, and as the Texans were starting to soar. We saw the Chargers as the one team sliding back.
Real quick before we move on, because I know we got to hit a break here. On the other side of this one, the Raiders officially eliminated from playoff contention. No surprise really to anybody. But Damien, I'll give you last word here when it comes to Pete Carroll and the hundreds of years I felt like he's been put on his life because of this season. What do you, I guess, anticipate from the Raiders and specifically Pete Carroll going forward?
A change at quarterback. And that's what needs to happen. That's where this starts. Geno Smith, he has not been good all season long, whether it's the turnovers, not seeing the field properly. They're not finding ways creatively to get Ashton Genty going. Brock Bowers has been limited. At times he's been injured. When he plays, he still shows those flashes, but they're just not doing enough to scheme that guy open and get the production out of him that you need. You get rid of one of your top receivers in Jacoby Myers, and that leaves you depleted at the pass catcher position. So in totality, this team needs to get better in a lot of areas, but the biggest place that I'm circling with a red marker is quarterback.
Geno Smith has not been great. You have anything you want to say?
Look, they might fire Pete Carroll. They really might. I mean, it's a bad look right now. It's just the whole team is going in the wrong direction. The whole Chip Kelly thing was a disaster, and I think he's ultimately responsible for it.
It's going to be interesting to see what changes they make. But to your point, Damien, it's very clear there needs to be some changes in Vegas. Good news, they got plenty of time to figure it out. They are out of the playoff conversation. When we come back, don't look now, but the Texans are soaring. Can they catch the top of the division? And what's going on with the Colts? We'll break it down next on Game Day Recap. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. How a few weeks can change some things. The Colts make it 2 straight L's, and all of a sudden, the Jags are on top of the AFC South. You're looking at the current order in terms of the standings. So Jacksonville takes down the Titans to make it 3 in a row. 7 straight, by the way, when our Aditi Kinkawala is on the sidelines there with the Jaguars. The Texans did take a positive step forward as well, handing the Colts that 2nd straight loss. The Titans, meanwhile, they didn't do much except get eliminated from the postseason. Back here on Game Day Recap, got Pete, Rand, Damien. I don't know what you guys are laughing at. I'm going to keep it pushing because it could be anything. We're going to talk about the Texans, fellas. CJ Stroud comes back, misses 3 games. Not like a flashy game. He did throw for 276 yards, did have an interception, but the Texans currently on a 4-game win streak. And Damien, it looks a lot different from the beginning of the season when everyone was so worried about CJ Stroud and that sophomore, junior slump, whatever he's at this year. What'd you take away from the Texans today?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself and say that, we're all thrilled at the performance by CJ. I mean, it was good enough. The offense is clicking. They're protecting a little bit better. I'd like to see CJ more comfortable in the pocket. There's something we were talking about upstairs. Too many times he was exiting the pocket to his right, to the left, to the back of the pocket when it was clean and firm up in the middle. And he could have just stepped up. I mean, there was one time on the broadcast, they drew the line of the pocket to show, like, it was a clean pocket. But where the Texans stood out for me today offensively, the difference was 3rd down. They were 6 of 13. The Colts were 3 of 10. And when you can find ways to extend drives on 3rd down, that just gives you more opportunities to drive the ball down the field and score points. So they did a really good job of 3rd down execution today, and that was a good sight to see.
Sorry, but when you have
The interceptor.
I intercepted him.
That was not a confident interception either.
Well, I was in the AFC South. I figured he didn't want to talk about that division.
That's how you intercept it and take it back to yourself.
I'm saving you from yourself over here. The one thing about CJ Stroud, we were all sitting up there watching him go in and out and leaving pockets, but you're coming off a concussion that caused you to miss
3 weeks.
3 games. And sometimes when you first get back in there, I would imagine you guys had him, you're a little...
Why would you?
Yeah, everybody had it because
I'm sorry,
everybody who plays has had concussions. You're a little reluctant. You're reluctant to go in there, and maybe for a second, and you're a little hesitant. And I think as he plays a little bit more and gets back into it, because he's always been pretty good at navigating the pocket, he just looked a little slow moving out, in and out of there today.
Yeah, and I can echo everything both of you said, especially about his pocket presence, pocket awareness. But I think as the game went on, Haley, I think he got more and more comfortable because we had talked about a lot about how there was a lot of moving parts to this offensive line, but they seem to have settled in up front a little bit more, and we're seeing Woody Marks, who he went down for a little bit today, and we saw Nick Chubb have a touchdown run that helped them go ahead at one point in the game, but then Woody Marks came back in and provided a spark, especially to close out the game, getting that big first down to end it. And so I think we're starting to see Nick Caley, the offensive coordinator, become more comfortable in terms of his play calling with what he has, in terms of his skill set of his players. But we saw the Texans get Nico Collins going today. He was 2 yards short of 100 yards. The big receiver from Iowa State that they drafted in the 2nd round, he's really stepped up and made some big plays for him down the stretch. And so I think with this championship-level defense, which they do have a championship-level defense, I think the offense is starting to catch up.
Let me ask you this. The Texans currently sitting at 7-5. Both the Jags and the Colts are ahead of them in terms of the division race. We know the Jags have the head-to-head when it comes to the Colts. Is there a world, Rand, that you can see the Texans running it back and winning the division at this point of the season?
I mean, at this point, yes, especially with the way this defense is playing. I don't think anybody particularly wants to see the Houston Texans at this point because you have 2 guys off the edge who coming into the week, I believe, were either 2nd or 3rd or 3rd and 4th in terms of getting the quarterback on the ground. One had Danielle Hunter had 11 sacks. Will Anderson had 10.5. You got 2 guys on the edge that can get after the quarterback. Then you got in the secondary and at the second level at linebackers, you got guys that are flying around that love to hit, and then they're just doing a lot of things up front to create pressure. Now, to me, the weak spot of this defense is the interior of the D-line, but even there, you have, because of what you have off the edge, those guys are able to make plays. So I think right now, as it's shaping up and as it closes out, because everybody still has to play everyone within the division, I think the Texans are the team that people are most feared playing.
They play a playoff game next week. They play at Kansas City. You go to Arrowhead, and a desperate team that's on its last breath.
That lost to who?
To the Cowboys. You'll find out a lot about the Texans because they can't afford to lose. The Chiefs nor the Texans can afford to lose that game next week.
It's going to be interesting as well because when you talk about the Jaguars, I just feel like this year has just been a fever dream when it comes to the games that they're able to win, the games that they lose, and how they do it. And something that you and I kind of joked about earlier, Trevor Lawrence picking up the 30th win of his career. And at first when I read that in the notes, I was like, oh my gosh, 30th win. But to Damien's point, that doesn't feel like a lot. It doesn't feel like something that should be celebrated. But to Rand's point, he's missed a lot of time. So I guess the point that I'm trying to get at here when it comes to this Jaguars team, and Pete, I'll give you first word here. can they be effective if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play the way he played today?
No, they cannot. And he played good football today. It wasn't great. It was good. And it didn't need to be great. This was a tough game for them. And I said this all week leading into it. When you go out west and win a game in overtime, and you have the Colts next week at home, and you go play a team that traditionally has played you tough in their building and tough in your building at times, it's a natural letdown. And somehow they came out and that game was over at halftime. It was done. And that's a sign of a good team. And they're, look, will I say they're a deep playoff team? Probably not. But in this AFC, who is any damn good? Is anybody good in the AFC right now? Seriously. Can we sit here and say any Broncos? Maybe. Who else?
Patriots?
Do we know?
I'm glad I didn't have to say it so we get Homer across the table.
Do we know?
I got you,
What do you mean, do we know?
We don't know. They all have flaws. That's the point.
Yeah, every team is flawed, but that
Major flaws. All of them across the board. They all have flaws.
Does that mean we don't have any good teams?
It's exactly what it means.
Okay.
That's exactly what it means.
We need to get shirts that say that. Nobody's any good. Is anybody any good?
Is anybody any damn good? That's what
I'm going to push back up to the table. I want to get out of the way and let that clear. For me, Jacksonville is just the epitome of ebbs and flows, right? We see them play one week, and we're like, man, this is a really good team. And then the next week, they'll have a letdown. Today, I'll speak for myself and say I thought that the Titans would win this game coming into it. I thought that this was the type of game that Jacksonville would typically lose. And if you look at the numbers, Jacksonville was 3 of 13 on third down. They had 13 penalties today, but they were able to get over it and get away with it, to the opponent because they were able to force turnovers and get short fields and were able to capitalize. I'm just interested to see how this Jacksonville team is going to play down the stretch. Now, they had a couple guys out today, key components on their defense. I'm just ready to see how this group is going to play down the stretch when it matters most. Do they have the mettle to finish out and close it out and either win the division or get that 6 or 7 seed in the tournament?
They're in the playoffs.
I was going to say.
The schedule says so.
That's exactly where I was going. So based on what you just said, Rand, with the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos, Colts again, and Titans, how does that impact how you feel about the Jags?
Well, you said the Colts twice, right?
They do have to play the Colts?
Once.
Twice.
Twice, I'm sorry,
Looking
twice.
at the schedule,
Yeah,
it says
twice.
Colts.
Okay.
They play them on the 7th and the 28th.
Right.
So they got the Colts twice, the Broncos, you say?
The Jets.
Oh, the Jets?
Colts, Jets, Broncos, Colts,
10
Titans.
wins, bare minimum.
Well, again, one would think. But we have to see.
They might not even be a good team.
But you play the Jets and you play the Titans at home. That's 10. That gets you to 10.
Okay.
They're in the
Jaguars.
playoffs, and by the way, I actually think they're going to win the division. They haven't lost to the Colts at home since 2014. They're not losing next week to the Colts.
Okay, and they're not any good, by the way.
They're not. Nobody is.
Let's hit a break here on Game Day Recap. Plenty more spirited conversation coming because we're talking Shedeur Sanders. How did start number 2 fare for the rookie quarterback? We'll talk about Cleveland next. All right, back to football. The much-anticipated second start for Shedeur Sanders didn't go as planned. Some good, like this touchdown toss on your screen to Harold Fannin Jr. Some bad, like getting swallowed up by the Niners defense a few times. The rookie quarterback finishing today 16 of 25 for 149 and a touchdown. So Cleveland now with a 7th straight game under 300 yards and their 2nd straight 3-9 start. So not a whole lot of good in Shedeur Sanders' first or second start there. Rand, I'll give you first word there. What's your assessment of what Shedeur was able to do today? And to take it a step further, what do you think Kevin Stefanski does at quarterback for the rest of the season?
I think first and foremost, to answer the second question, I think he starts next week. I think we're going to see him probably start the rest of the way because I think that would split it 6-6 with both guys, him and Dylan Gabriel having 6 starts, and then we'll see how they evaluate those two, right? Just in terms of putting them against each other versus next year's draft class and who gives us the best chance to win moving forward. I think today, the defense that they played today in the San Francisco 49ers, who are lacking a pass rush, so to speak, and don't run a lot of different concepts in terms of trying to confuse you like you saw against the Raiders last week in Patrick Graham's offense. This would have been the best chance for him to build a rhythm, be able to hit more completions, take the underneath stuff, and allow his guys to make plays. But again, I thought it was solid. Right, I thought it was solid. It wasn't really anything to hang your hat on one way or the other. But again, too, you look at some of it. where he's patting the ball. You saw a couple times today where he drifted in the pocket. We really didn't see that against the Raiders as much. He just has to learn how to play on time. And if there's nothing there, throw the ball out of bounds at the feet of the receiver and live to see another down. Now, I know some of it, the improvisation part sometimes is good, but you don't want to live in that lane in terms of just looking to improvise at all times.
Kevin Stefanski did say that he'll get the start against the Titans next week, so at least it gives you one more week to evaluate. But, Pete, what do you think of Shedeur?
It was average at best. He should start. They need to find out what he is. I mean, look, what I would do if I were the Browns, I'd spend a lot of time watching Fernando Mendoza this next month and a half. I'd spend a lot of time watching Moore if he comes out from Oregon. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. Their quarterback is not on their roster, period. They have 2 first-round picks. They're going to get a quarterback next year. But you have to at least give a look at Shedeur Sanders the rest of the way, because you've already decided what you have in Dillon Gabriel, and he's not the answer. This guy's going to prove that he's also not the long-term answer. Go into the draft and get yourself a quarterback.
You know what the Browns need to do? They need to run Dylan Sampson more. Like, I'm not going to sit here and harbor on the Shedeur talk. They need to use Dylan Sampson. They got a really good young running back tandem in him and Quinshon Judkins. I love that Quinshon has earned the RB1 role. He deservingly has that spot. But Dylan Sampson could be the Travion Henderson to Quinshon Judkins that he had at Ohio State. Use a little bit of thunder and lightning. Mix it up. Sampson is he's the quicker, more explosive back that can hit his head on the goalpost. We talked about this earlier. Judkins is good from 40 to 40, 30 to 30, in the meat of the field. Use both of those guys, and again, what does that do? That takes pressure off of your quarterback. Whoever it is, Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. Use this young running back room that's probably one of the better young running back rooms in all of the NFL. Use them to take some of that pressure off of the quarterback.
For me, I just want to pose a question to the group, because we talk about this quarterback class coming into it, and I don't know how much you've been able to see of the quarterback class from this year. And we were saying it's going to be a deep class. But I don't feel as confident about it being deep, because I don't think everybody's coming out as we originally anticipated. So if you're Cleveland and if the Titans are sitting there at the #1 pick, and you do have draft capital to move up, how much are you willing to give up to go get Fernando Mendoza? Because we're looking at a situation where it could be Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore comes back and Ty Sampson comes back, and all the guys that you would covet in there with Mendoza do indeed come back. So how much would you be willing to go up and get Fernando Mendoza?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, are you giving up both those first-round picks depending on where they're at to go get them? I mean, Jacksonville's pick is kind of moving back toward the back where they thought it might be a higher pick when the season started. So would you give up two ones to go get Fernando Mendoza? I don't know if I would either.
Personally, I would not.
I don't think I would either.
I wouldn't. I mean, I think Fernando Mendoza is a phenomenal quarterback, but assessing, diving into the college football world, he's played great this year. I haven't seen enough of him. I haven't seen enough to make me think as an NFL GM that I would spend 2 first-round picks to move up to go get this guy. Great quarterback. He's probably going to win the Heisman, depending on how he fares in the Big Ten Championship. But there's not really a quarterback in college football right now that I would spend high draft capital on.
Well, you got to do something if you're the Browns. If you play the rest of the way.
Is there a veteran name?
If you play the rest of the way and Shedeur Sanders plays like he's played so far, he's not your long-term answer. And Gabriel's proved that he's not. You got to do something.
Well, yeah, but look at there's a good handful of quarterbacks that have made their careers in the second half. We've seen it from Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield is another example. Like, we've seen guys, there might just be a veteran guy that comes off of playing well as a backup. Mac Jones is the name that comes to mind. He's played really good backup quarterback for San Francisco. If you want to go get someone, go get Mac Jones.
We're trying to keep your face together. Just like 2 seconds.
Come on.
Okay, well, people said the same thing about Sam Darnold. They said the same thing about Daniel Jones. They said, come on.
And Daniel Jones has lost 3 of 4, and we still don't know about him. And Sam Darnold, we'll see when he comes.
Is he playing better now than he was before?
Than he was, yeah.
All right, that's all I'm saying.
But he also led the Giants to the playoffs a couple years ago, too.
Yes. I do want to quickly pivot the conversation to the winners of this game, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco Fighting Christian McCaffreys, because that's literally all they do. And last week when I was watching the 49ers play, it's all they did, right? They dumped it off to him. They handed it off to him, wherever it was. And it was like, oh, my gosh, like, this guy, he's had so many injuries. Is this working? So I asked my 2 resident running backs, when you look at the game plan, and Damien, I'll come to you first, when you look at the game plan for the 49ers, how they've been winning games, it's been working. Christian McCaffrey has been healthy to this point. I just wonder, like, what if, right? So how do you feel about the 49ers?
The question is it sustainable with Christian McCaffrey? Because we've seen him deal with injuries. We've seen the calves, we've seen the Achilles, we've seen the injury lineup build up for Christian McCaffrey over his career, and he's getting a lot of touches right now. Like, I literally wrote in my notes, death, taxes, Christian McCaffrey over 20 touches a game. Like, that is the San Francisco offensive game plan. It's working as long as you got your guy healthy. But as the season goes on, the schedule's going to get tougher. The competition's going to get stiffer. No, the weather, it's colder outside. People get hurt when it's cold outside. The injuries, they start to hurt a little bit more. So can they keep him healthy? Has he figured out how to keep himself healthy? That's going to be the ultimate answer to how far the San Francisco 49ers go.
To me, I think in this season it's sustainable.
Okay.
Right? Because I think they've done a good job of not only using him, but having things built off of those formations, those motions when they have him in the backfield, and then they motion him deep in the backfield, but kind of in the slot to determine what the coverage is going to be. And if he has the one-on-one, then they get the ball to him, and if not, they look and pivot to Kittle. So I think right now in this season, yes, it's sustainable, and I think this is the way they're going to have to win football games because he is the bell cow. I think you mentioned it, Damien. He might lead the league in receptions. He might lead the league in carries, like just total touches, yards from scrimmage. That's the way they're going to have to win football games right now because, again, the offense flows through him. It flows through George Kittle because they don't have that one dynamic weapon at the receiver position that can go out and win one-on-ones right now. They're being schemed open off of the things that we see out of Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, he averaged 2.7 per rush today. It wasn't like he lit it up.
There it is.
Well, it's not like he lit it up.
We get it.
But you talk about all those carries this year, and eventually this year they're going to start wearing on him a little bit too. I mean, that's a lot of touches for a little guy. He's not a big guy.
Well, here's the thing I'll say. Being at training camp this year and walking in, and the first thing I noticed when I saw him, I was like, he looks much bigger this year. He looked much bigger, and I don't know what his weight is or was at the time. But when I saw him this summer at training camp practice, I was like, this is the biggest I've ever seen him. If I had to guess, Damien, I would have put him in that 215 to 220 range, somewhere in there. And I don't know what his usual weight is, or I can't remember from my time being there with him. But he looked much bigger, probably with the mindset that he was going to have to touch the ball.
But with that added weight, would you be concerned at all that would start to affect like the soft tissue injury? Because then once you start carrying a lot of weight, more than what your body is used to carrying, those hamstrings start to go, the groins, the calves, the knees, the joints, like that. I'm concerned because to Pete's point, it's just a lot of touches, man. It's a hell of a lot of touches.
By the way, if you would have said before this game that the McCaffrey would rush 2.7 per game, Purdy would throw for 168 and 1, that they won the game, you would say, nah, not really. It goes back to that head coach. Every week we say the same thing. We're sitting in that green room, we say the same thing. That guy has this team in the playoffs right now. Kyle Shanahan has done a masterful job with this team considering all the injuries they had to navigate. It's amazing, not including the quarterback. He played those games with Mac Jones and won those games. So bottom line is Kyle Shanahan doesn't get the appreciation right now for the great job he's doing as a coach.
To me, Haley, and to offer what Pete is saying, when we're looking for head coaches, right? We talked about in the headlines all these college coaches that are getting these jobs. They're going to be NFL jobs that are going to come open. We copycat too much, looking for the next offensive guru or the next defensive guru. Kyle Shanahan, yes, he is an offensive guru, but what he does best is he's a leader. And he can stand in front of that room when there's no chance in the world that you have to win the football game, and he can create buy-in and get guys to believe in his message. And I think, Pete, what you're saying is you see that every week, no matter who's in the lineup for him, no matter who's starting at quarterback or just a plethora of guys they've had roll through that defense, based off of Kyle Shanahan standing up in front of that room on Wednesdays, he has those guys believing that they can compete and win a game every week.
Like I could run through a brick wall now after that. Real quick before we close the book, Pete, something that you mentioned, and you mentioned it earlier when we talked about Brock Purdy and the performance that he had, and I wrote down your quote because I asked, I said, is this his first game back? And you said he played like it was his first game back. Is there any concern with Brock and the numbers? And I know that he's still working his way back from injury, but when you see what he did today, and to your point, they somehow found a way to win, what do you think going forward?
Well, I don't think it was awful today. It just wasn't great. I mean, and he at some moment he's going to have to be better than what he was today. And it's there. I think he's still a little rusty coming off that injury. I really, like the other day, he looked like he wasn't stepping into the balls, and it just didn't look right. It looked like his passes were sailing, and I just don't think he looked comfortable. And today, that was a really good defense. I mean, we forget sometimes how good that defense is. And Myles Garrett was held to 1 sack. That's an accomplishment for any team that plays that guy.
Myles Garrett with his 19th sack of the season. That is the most ever through 12 games. So he is a man on a mission. I don't know what you guys are laughing at, but we're going to keep it pushing here.
They're children. That's what they're laughing
at. Ever since the Panthers put us in their hype video, all they've done is win. Are we the good luck charm in Carolina? We'll have to find out after the break. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. How about the Bucs? One step closer to locking up the division for a 5th straight season, but they can't afford any slip-ups because the Carolina Panthers at 7-6 are nipping at their heels. All of a sudden, postseason potentially for the Panthers doesn't seem that far-fetched. These two teams, by the way, still have to meet. Ironically, they'll both take on the Saints next. Of course, the Panthers are getting ready to go on a bye, so they'll play them in 2 weeks. The Bucs, meanwhile, will play them next week. I mentioned it. Both of these teams have to play each other twice. The Bucs have to play the Dolphins as well as the Falcons, who we saw not play very good today against the Jets, and the Panthers also got to play the Seahawks. Back here on Game Day Recap with the fellas. We're going to start with the Buccaneers. We all watched the Bucs last week, and we watched Baker Mayfield just get beat up in prime time. He hurt the shoulder, and it kind of felt like we were pumping the brakes a little bit on the Bucs in terms of their playoff run and what that was going to look like. However, they got some pieces back. Baker did his thing. Tristan Wirfs scored a touchdown here as well. Rand, how would you evaluate the Bucs to this point based on what you saw from their performance today?
Well, I was really interested to see how Baker Mayfield was going to play. How loose was he going to play with that left shoulder banged up? How would he be able to protect himself? To me, the key was getting Bucky Irvin and his explosiveness back in the lineup, because I think he just adds a different element, brings a different level of speed to that team that they need right now, because they don't really have that true home run threat in the offense right now. And I think getting him back really helps them a lot. And I want to see them continue to feed him and lean on him more as the season progresses, to allow Baker to get healthy and get back to his true form.
Look, Baker, we know he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
I think they forced him out of the game last week. He wanted to stay in that, and it just shows you the competitor that he is. Was he great today? No. He missed some throws. He had some drops. It just never really got into a rhythm. But when you find a way to win games like that, that's a good sign, particularly with the way the division's going with Carolina breathing down the neck. One flaw with the Bucs that I keep seeing week in and week out is rush the passer.
Yeah.
Way too much time for Jacoby Brissett today to just sit there and make throws. And even when he scrambled and get outside the pocket, he made some plays. So, they know that. They got to get Reddick going again. He's back in there now. Diaby's got to get going again. He's had a pretty good year, but they need to get their pass rush going.
Yeah, the pass rush hasn't been good. It has been good to see Chris Godwin back playing healthy. He did have a couple drops today, but he's going to be a veteran guy that Baker Mayfield's going to have to depend on. No Mike Evans. Like, you've got to have Chris Godwin as your true number 1 receiver, or 1B to Emeka Egbuka. Yeah. But he's that veteran presence to the young rookie superstars. So having Chris Godwin back is going to be good. Those drops kind of threw off their rhythm and timing as an offense as a whole today. But once they reestablish that connection, that's going to be one of the better connections in pro football, along with Baker Mayfield to Emeka Egbuka. So having those two weapons on the outside with Bucky Irvin, that's going to be great for the Bucs.
Yeah, and people don't realize the importance that Chris Godwin plays in that offensive system. Not just from his receiving ability, but what they ask for him to do in the run game.
Yes.
And him playing in the slot, him playing outside. Even with Mike Evans in the lineup, his role that they have Chris Godwin playing is a very key role for that offense.
They do need Mike Evans back, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's talk he might be able to make it back for the postseason at some point, but I mean,
better get there.
Evaluate this team with and without him. Let's say
he's a field stretcher. Look, when I was there in training in May, I had a conversation with Baker Mayfield. He says, look, no matter what we do on offense, it runs through Mike in the run game. Mike in the run game. And, well, Mike's not there, so now they got to get the run game going better.
Bucky Irvin's back.
Got to get him going. 17 rushes on 61 yards and a touchdown. Of course, it was his first game back. He was dealing with an ankle and a shoulder, I think, as well. So a lot for Bucky Irving there. We got to talk about the Panthers, guys, because all they do is win big games. First, it was the Packers a couple of weeks ago, and everyone was like, it's a fluke. And this stat I thought was interesting as well. 2025, the Bucs and the Panthers are both 5-0 in games decided by 3 or fewer points this season. So just to kind of give context to how good the Panthers have really been this year. Ran, when you look at the body of work and how this team started and the conversation surrounding the quarterback, right? How much more improved is this Panthers team? And realistically, how big of a threat are they down the stretch?
Oh, they're a real threat. They're a real threat because they're playing a brand of football that I don't think the rest of the people in their division is fit to deal with at this point, because they're playing with a we don't have anything to lose mentality. And I think we're seeing Bryce Young grow up right in front of our eyes. Everyone's been critical of him and his play, the turnovers, him in and out of the lineup as a starting quarterback. And all he's been doing here lately is taking what the defense has given him, making plays and taking care of the football. And again, we have that backfield with Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. It seems like Dowdle gets going and then he gets stifled a little bit. And today Chuba Hubbard had a day and was able to have, some production in the run game, some production in the pass game as well. But if you look at today, what stood out to me with their performance against the Rams was that they forced 3 turnovers. They were able to take the ball away from the Rams. And I try this one on for size. Coming into the week, the Rams had only turned the ball over 4 times. They only had 4 giveaways. And then they turned the ball over 3 times today. And that was just that defense being opportunistic. And they were without J.C. Horn in the game. And Michael Jackson, I believe, had a pick 6. I know he had a pick, but I think he took it back to the crib for a score. And so they're just getting production from everybody and don't care who or where they get it from, as long as they have one more point than the opponent at the end of the day. And this is what team football is all about.
You know what I love? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What I love about the Panthers right now, yeah, of course. I mean, he did it to my guy Rams. I got to get him back. What I love about this Panthers team is the fact that everybody's contributing because they just want to spoil everybody's parade right now. They want to be the dream killers for all of these good teams that they play against. I mean, we see what they did. You talked about what they just did to the Rams. They've been number 1 in your power rankings for a long time, and they made Matthew Stafford look kind of pedestrian to a degree. I mean, 2 picks today. 2.
And a fumble.
They had pressure on Matthew Stafford all day long, and we were sitting here talking about him as the clear-cut front runner for the MVP. But I'll say this. I've said it once. I got to say it again. I'm so damn proud of Bryce Young. His maturation, his poise, his ability to just stay locked into the task at hand. I think that all of the guys around him have noticed that over these weeks, over the years of his career, and they're finally buying in with him. And just the way that he goes about his business, he always got a smile on his face. He's always up to the task whenever his number is called. The guys are rallying around him right now. They're just playing good football.
Damien, he's having fun.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I was
so
say.
much
He looks
fun.
like he's having fun.
And like there were so many times where we've talked about it just don't look like the same Bryce from Alabama, because he was making plays, he was smiling, he was dancing, he was doing his thing. We didn't see that a lot early in his career. We're starting to see that again. And regardless of who you cheer for, just being a fan of the game, you love to see guys out there that have been through some adversity find their way out and have some fun.
Do we forget that was 6 days ago they went to San Francisco on a Monday night and looked awful, and he looked terrible? I mean, we forget that.
Thank you so much for always bringing us down to earth.
That's the problem with this team right now. They're up, they're down.
Yeah.
They're up, they're down,
And
just like he is. And he's up and down and up and down.
Not him calling you out.
I thought he was talking about me for a second. I was like, what did I do? Bryce Young. Yeah, Bryce Young. He's just but still, you got to give him some love, because for so long they've just been here. They've just been down.
Right.
Yes, there's going to be some ups. They don't know how to handle success. They haven't had a lot of it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So there's going to be some ebbs and flows. But from a team that's been one of the worst, not just in terms of players, but structurally from top to bottom.
Yep.
They've been one of the worst teams in the league for a very long time. Even whenever they have an up and they go back down, you still have to cheer for them when they get there.
Listen, what they're building, because they are building something.
Yes.
Right? So we have to keep that in mind.
Yep.
This is what, year 2, year 3 of the Canales Morgan group. So they're learning. And we said it before here on the show that Haley was talking about when they put it in their hype video. This is a young team that's learning how to win games. If they continue on this trend with the type of players that they're bringing in, with the type of mindset that they're creating in Carolina, they are going to be a problem in not only the NFC South, but the NFC.
Listen, they're winning games when it matters. They took down the Packers. They won today. They have 7 upset wins this season.
And then they have a bye week, and then who do they play again?
The Saints.
And what happened the last time they played the Saints? It was one of those downers, and they lost at home. You got to win that game. If
You
you're
have
the,
to, definitely,
you're the
especially after what we saw from the Saints today. Something that we all have kind of touched on to this point was the effect that this had on Matt Stafford. And from a betting standpoint, we've been talking about Matt Stafford leading the charge in terms of the MVP conversation. Coming into today's game, Matthew Stafford was leading the way at -300 in terms of the favorite to be the MVP. With today's performance, that now drops to +110, with Drake Maye behind him at +130. So obviously other people are seeing maybe one bad game, Pete, from Matt Stafford. Did he play that badly today to have people questioning whether or not he's the MVP?
Well, I mean, if you look at it on the paper, the turnovers were what cost them the game. So, yeah, ultimately, yes, it was definitely him. I mean, he was responsible for it, and the odds come down. Look, that thing's wide open anyways. I think Drake May's right in the conversation. He goes out tomorrow night and plays really well. He might move ahead of him.
Agreed.
I think he's ahead of him now.
Agreed. I mean, based off the most recent performance, I think Stafford's performance today was enough to put him behind Drake Maye. Not because Stafford played that bad, but that's how good is Drake Maye playing right now?
We're going to sound the Homer alarm. In a second.
Right. That's your cop out. That's your cop out. Homer, or the other one is Well, we'll see in the next game. We'll see.
I need to see it one more.
Yeah, I need to see it.
That's it. No, Drake May's had a great year. He's right in the conversation. I'm not saying he didn't, but I don't think he's the MVP right now. I think Stafford is.
I still think it's mind-blowing to me again that Drake Maye is having the year he's having, and we're talking about him as being the front runner, and he is still yet to have a 300-yard pass.
It's amazing.
Game. That is like mind-blowing to me. But that, again, we talk about the Eagles and having the disease of me, right? Everyone's focused on their numbers. Drake Maye is just doing whatever my team needs me to do to win a football game. If that's throwing for 5,000, I'll throw for 5,000. But if I need to throw for 250 and hand the ball off and run the clock off, we're going to do what we got to do to win the football game.
Let me play spoiler here for a minute, devil's advocate, if
Okay.
you will, right? Because we just talked about Matt Stafford, and he was here, and then he has one bad game, and now all of a sudden we've got questions. Knock on wood for all the Patriots fans out there, but let's say Drake Maye goes out tomorrow, maybe didn't have his best performance. Maybe the Giants make him seem a little human. How does that change the conversation? Because then we have another game where Drake Maye maybe doesn't meet expectations. Is this just a constant back and forth of who's not going to have a bad week, or what's your metric?
Recency bias. I mean, that's a thing. It's alive and well. We talk about it all the time in college football. It's an NFL. When you talk about MVPs, things like that, it's all about recency bias. So how Drake Maye plays tomorrow, we're going to compare that. Well, the odds maker in terms of who's going to be the MVP favorite, they're going to compare his last performance to Stafford's last performance. Stafford turned the ball over 3 times. If Drake Maye doesn't do that, then and they win, regardless of what his numbers or his stats look like, he has to jump Stafford in the odds, but just because of his most recent performance.
Yeah, I don't ride the week-to-week train. You know, that it's going to happen. We know what this league is. We've only had one undefeated team in the history of the game, so teams are going to lose. No matter how good we think they are, no matter how high we put them on our power rankings, people are going to lose. That's what's going to happen. Guys are going to play bad. It's just going to happen. So for me, I'm not riding the week to week. It's okay. Like, I need to pay more attention here. Why did these things happen? Is this a trend? Is this something that is starting to become a habit as to why they're playing bad? But we'll see at the end of the season. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to, and where these teams finish.
But it clearly looks like it's a 2-man race right now. I mean,
Stafford and Maye?
Yes, because
no Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's kind of fallen off a little bit.
Cool.
I mean, where else do you go? Dak Prescott, if he brought the Cowboys into the playoffs, maybe. I mean, he's got to really continue.
Haley tucked that hair behind the ear.
But where else do you go?
Let me put this. Let me think about this. And this isn't because I'm advocating for this guy. I'm just thinking in terms.
Yeah.
No. I'm just thinking of in terms of if he continues to have the type of year that he's having right now.
Mac Jones?
Christian McCaffrey.
Oh.
Sorry. No, I know. We got to reel it in. Get your point out, I promise.
Christian McCaffrey?
He leads the league in receptions. He leads the league in carries. He leads the league in all-purpose yards. He might lead the league in all-purpose touchdowns. So if you have a guy like that at the end of the season, he carries San Francisco to the playoffs, he could be a name to throw in that conversation by the time it's all said and done.
Okay. Very spirited conversation. Of course, we'll have to wait.
Y'all good now? Y'all get all the kikis and ha-has out?
Yeah, we did. That was our bad.
Yeah,
I got caught up in that. Let's hit another break here on Game Day Recap. Man, oh man, do the Vikings wish that guy was still behind center in Minnesota. Instead, he picks up a win against his former team. We're talking Seahawks next on Game Day Recap.
Sugar britches.
Back here on Game Day Recap, backup quarterback or not, the Seahawks certainly took advantage of the lack of experience behind center. Max Brosmer was very familiar with the turf today, very familiar with the other team as well, through a handful of interceptions as Seattle blanks Minnesota 26-0. The Vikings defense kept JSN in check there. He had just 23 yards on 2 catches. But the Rams also lost today. So when you look at the Seattle Seahawks from this standpoint, you've got the Rams, the Bears, and the Seahawks all sitting at 9-3. Rand, I'll come to you here because we talk a lot about the Seahawks and their potential on this show. You saw the Rams lose today. It's been a conversation between those two as far as who's going to make a push there in the West. What do you think about the Seahawks? Can they make a push after today's, I'm going to call it a big win because it was in terms of the 0, but they beat the Vikings?
Yeah, I think it's still the Rams division. I think from top to bottom, they are the better and more complete team in that division, and I think they just have the pedigree in terms of guys on that roster who've won and know how to win. So I would still roll with the Rams there. But I do think this Seattle team is really good. I think their defense is a top 5, top 10 caliber defense. Their passing game, obviously, with the scheme, with Kubiak calling the plays. Sam Darnold has cooled a lot over these last couple weeks. Has been kind of held in check. JSN is the best producing receiver in our league right now. I just want to see what's going to happen with this backfield, how they're going to split up those carries with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Are they going to be able to ride the hot hand and get those guys going? Because those two guys, in my opinion, are going to be key for them down the stretch.
They're a defensive team. That's what they are. Look, and Darnold, up until a couple weeks ago, was averaging over 9.5 per attempt. I mean, they were driving the ball down the field. They haven't had to do that. I mean, he didn't have to do it today. They didn't throw what he threw for 128 yards today, but they had the other guy throwing interceptions into every one of their defensive players' stomachs all day long. I mean, they threw that kid to the wolves. I mean, they did. They really did. You ask a kid to make his first NFL start on the road in that place against that defense, you're setting him up to fail. There's no way he was going to have success there, and he was awful, and they took advantage of it.
He was the first Vikings player with 4 more interceptions, including a pick 6 in a game since Brad Johnson in 2006, so it's been a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was awful. It was like that Kevin Hart, damn, every time he threw, damn. I mean, it was bad. And to your point, Pete, they did throw him to the wolves, but regardless or not, this is the National Football League. Like, you just cannot put tape like that out there. And I want to say this, not just about the quarterback that played today, whether you want to talk about J.J. McCarthy, whoever, Justin Jefferson is fed up. He's fed up. And at first I could see it on his face. Today I saw it in his play. There was one interception that came off of a contested ball where Justin Jefferson ran an in-breaking route. He looked not as aggressive at the catch point, not as confident at the catch point, and then the ball got broken up, tips and overthrows, gotta have those. They got him, and they picked him off. And so my biggest concern is for a guy like Justin Jefferson, who has been one of the greats in the NFL since he entered the league. I don't want to see his play diminish. Right now is a time where I want to see him become a leader, wrap his arm around his guys, and just do everything he can. And I know what I'm saying is easier said than done because it's got to be frustrating as hell being that type of receiver and then producing the numbers that you have recently and pointing it all at the quarterback position. But I'm just speaking in terms of what's the right thing to do. You can't let it affect your play. You can't let it affect your mentality and wear that on your sleeve, because then when you got a guy who's already throwing 3 interceptions, that's just going to make him feel even worse when he sees his one guy hanging his head. And again,
you can't throw it and catch it.
I was going to say, I guess, and I'm not knocking you because I do think that's important. No, I'm not. I'm seriously with you here. I guess, what more are you, like, you want him to be more vocal on the sidelines? You worry about his attitude. What attributes are you looking for out of Justin Jefferson?
I just want to see him be the same player. That's all. And like I said, that one example of him at the catch point, when 10 times out of 10 Justin Jefferson makes that catch, he makes that play. The ball gets broken up, then it's a tip and an overthrow, then the ball's going the other way. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's got to go throw it, he's got to go do anything. And I'm not even speaking and saying that how he's showing his emotion or how he feels is wrong. I'm just saying the most positive thing you can do is still be that same generational type player.
Make the plays when they are given to you in the moment.
One thing we can bury so far from the Vikings season, in addition to the Vikings, because they're done, is the fact is that Kevin O'Connell can't fix every quarterback. He just can't. That was the whole notion. Oh, J.J. McCarthy would be just like the rest of them. He'll fix him. He'll fix him. He's going to put this kid in. He's going to be just like Brock Purdy. Go in there and be nobody and becomes a player. Nope. You either have it or you don't. You can't fix it.
I'll say this in terms of what Damien was saying with Justin Jefferson. When you have a guy like that, Justin Jefferson is a technician in terms of how he runs routes, how he sets up his routes, being where he's supposed to be, winning at the top. And when you're playing with a young quarterback, both J.J. McCarthy and Brosmer, you just don't know where the ball's going to be when you come out of your break. And that is something now you have to think about this. At the top of my route, I got to get myself open, but then I got to get my head around quick because I don't know where the ball is going to be. And although he's paid handsomely to catch any ball that's thrown in his vicinity, sometimes it's just hard to be able to come out of those breaks full speed and not knowing where the hell the ball is going to be and consistently catch the football. One thing I can promise you, Justin Jefferson is walking away from this thing. He is appreciative of the quarterbacks he's had in the past, right? And that allows him to be him. Because we talked about it upstairs when we were watching Arizona play, and we said, it's miraculous how much better Marvin Harrison Jr. is now that he has a quarterback that's throwing on time, a quarterback that's being anticipatory and getting the ball out quick. Justin Jefferson can't be as great because he's not playing with an anticipatory quarterback that's getting him the ball in a catchable space.
He was held to a career low 4 yards today. And how about this? The Vikings have had more turnovers than points over their last 2 weeks. So you said it. It seems like this team is pretty done. KOC is going to have some work to do if he's going to try to fix this. All right, time for another break here on Game Day Recap. You know who's still alive somehow, some way in the postseason in the AFC? The Miami Dolphins. Boy, did they take this one down to the wire. An onside kick that keeps him alive. We'll break it down next on Game Day Recap. Let's take you down to the AFC East. The Dolphins were in full control until they weren't. The Saints tried to make it interesting down the stretch. They recovered an onside kick, but McDaniel's crew found a way to finish it off. The Dolphins have now won 3 straight after starting the season 2-7. Another big game from Devon Achane in the win. And, of course, the Bills, the reigning champ, they dominate the time of possession in the 26-7 win over Pittsburgh. Josh Allen with his 76th career rushing touchdown to pass Cam Newton for most all time. James Cook had his 7th 100-yard game as well. And they say defense wins championships. Christian Benford with 2 key takeaways down the stretch to seal the deal. And would you look at that? The Bills are back. They make their way back into the wild card conversation. You see the division leaders on your left with the Broncos currently playing right now. Believe they're trailing Washington 7-6 at the moment. So we'll keep our eye on the 9-2 Broncos there. But the Dolphins still in the hunt somehow, some way. The Chiefs as well, also not in the playoff picture currently. Let me welcome you back to Game Day Recap here. Let's start our conversation with the Buffalo Bills. Guys, this one was kind of weird at first. It was kind of like one of those games where we were watching it and it was like, this is not going to be very good. But then Josh Allen does Josh Allen things. He passes Cam Newton for the most rushing touchdowns all time. And I think, Damien, when your quarterback can do the things that Josh Allen does, it helps out. But you played for this team. What stands out about how the Bills were able to beat the Steelers today?
It was all about the run game. I mean, Josh Allen, he played well, but this game wasn't about him. This was about James Cook and what the offensive line did in the trenches. They pushed Pittsburgh around. I mean, they ran for over 250 yards, and it looked like there was a point in time, I want to say midway through the fourth quarter and on, they ran the same duo every single play. We had to listen to Tony talk about, they're running duo, Jim. They're running to the right, Jim. They're going to run duo again to the right, Jim. But all of that to say they just knew they could push those guys around and they could not stop the run. So hats off to Jimbo, hats off to the guys up front because they really carried this team. And I've said it from day one, as good as Josh Allen is, this team lives through the run game. They do. It's always been that way. Buffalo is not as good when they take away James Cook and eliminate the run game from themselves, or when they try to put the run game on the shoulders of Josh Allen. It's just not as good. When you've got a guy like James Cook who can run and got that wiggle in between the tackles, but can also hit the home run with the speed and explosiveness that he has, again, that allows Josh Allen to play a safer game plan, because we know once he starts pressing, it's when the turnover bug starts to kick up. So run game was super impressive tonight.
Can this team still get to the Super Bowl? Because they've been your pick, and we're looking at them. Is this Buffalo team still your Super Bowl representative?
They were great running the ball today. It's fantastic. But at some point, they got to be able to hit shot plays down the field. You can't constantly count on grinding out the run game. It just isn't. I mean, this was fantastic today. And the Steelers aren't very good on defense, and it showed up. They pushed them around. But you can't count on that week in and week out. I know they want to run the ball, but they have to find a way to get chunk plays in the passing game, or you're not winning a Super Bowl. So to answer your question, as they're playing right now, I would probably say no. If they can start to build the passing game. We opened the game. I said it's going to be a run right, then they're going to throw a bubble screen to Shedeur on the left, and then they'll come back third and long, go ask Josh Allen to make a play. And that's what they did. Luckily, they got the run game going. And you're right, they need to run the ball, but you also have to get some chunk plays in the pass.
Absolutely, I agree.
No, for me, it's to me, this offense is like two different offenses. Right, you come into it, you have the one game plan that heavily features James Cook, which we saw today. But then you have that other offense that is more carefree, that's opened up for Josh Allen to go out and do what Josh Allen does, which is him be a threat with his legs running the football, and then him being able to play off schedule and create those downfield throws. I don't know that those downfield throws are in their 3, 5 to 7 step drop back game versus those plays being created off of Josh Allen's legs. Haley, you mentioned it. For them today, the big thing was third down and time of possession. They were 8 for 15 on third down today, and then held the ball for over 40 minutes of this game. Pittsburgh only had the ball for 18 minutes the entire day, and they were just playing keep away. Damien, you talked about running duo. They would run duo, and James Cook would bounce it outside to the right because Pittsburgh wasn't able to set those physical edges and force him back to the stack. He would hit it and then bounce out to the right, and then it was always an explosive there. It was always an explosive or first down, and they were able to extend those drives and just play the short, long, ugly game, right? It wasn't anything flashy. They did what they had to do to win the football game.
One good number to come out of this game for the Bills, 3.2 per rush against. The Steelers did not run the ball. Now, they only ran it 18 times, but they did not run the ball. Everybody's running on Buffalo. So I think that's a good sign moving forward.
Are we out on the Steelers?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Out.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you later, Aaron Rodgers. Don't you wish he was on vacation?
I mean, they do have
essentially
a big game this week coming up with the Ravens, by the way.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for A-Rod as a fellow 40-year-old.
I was like, where's this going?
Me too.
No, as a fellow 40-year-old, man, I can only imagine how he's going to feel in the morning waking up. I know I'm not going to feel that way, but I can feel that way just walking out of here.
He's going to have black eyes, I can tell you that. That nose is hit.
Nose is busted, broken wrists. Like, man, we should be enjoying life in our 40s.
And he's going through all this, and he can't even get his guys, like he said, to run the right routes.
Yeah.
That's got to be on
bad.
top of the physical toll that's going to take. That has to make you sit there and just be like.
There was a moment on the sidelines where they put the camera on Aaron Rodgers, and you could see in his head going, "Why in the hell did I come back for this garbage?" He had that look. He was just slumped over, broken nose. Why am I here?
You're going to be a meme on the internet tomorrow morning because of that.
What do you do, Pete? How do you look?
Why am I here?
Oh, boy. Let's go from whatever that was to the Miami Dolphins because somehow, some way, fellas, they continue to stay alive in this playoff conversation. But it's interesting the path that they've been on to get here. Of course, they blew out the Bills the week before they went to Spain. And then they went over to Spain and they played into overtime against a Commanders team that everyone thought they should have walked over. And then today, they're dominating most of the game against the Saints, and then all of a sudden Tua starts acting like Tua. That defense just can't figure out how to get a stop down the stretch. Pete, since this is your favorite team, I'll give you first word here. How are you feeling about the Dolphins to this point?
It's a weird feeling if you look at this team because they are on a mini run.
It's weird.
And they're actually in the playoff picture. They could have packed up their bags and gone home, and they haven't. And yet, at the end of the game, you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, this team has a chance to lose a game they had no business being in. Now, having said that, McDaniel made a really bad coaching decision. Late in the game, and I always like pointing to these, it was it was 3 minutes to go in the game. 3 minutes to go in the game. He's got a 4th down at the what was he at the 38, I think it was, and he decides to go for it, and rather than punt the football or kick the field goal in that situation. I didn't understand that. It kind of maybe almost backfired on him. I mean, you just can't do that in those situations. And for whatever reason, he sometimes gets, and you said it when we were up there, he gets emotional. Maybe he's coaching a little looser than he was. But you can't do that in that situation. He didn't get the first down. They got the ball, went down and scored, and all of a sudden you had a ball game.
I tell you what, for me, sorry, Damien, for me the big thing was when New Orleans went for 2 and Mika picked that ball off and they were able to get those 2 points, which made it a 3-point game. That was huge for Miami because they were in a situation where a field goal could have ended the game for New Orleans. But you talked about where the Dolphins are right now, and I'm looking at it. They've won 4 out of their last 5 after opening the season losing, only winning 1 out of their first 7. And so they are on a little bit of a run. Now, will they make the playoffs? I'm going to say no. But like you've talked about before, this run are they on? Because we spent, I felt like the first 2 months of the season talking about Mike McDaniel's job security. Now are we starting to feel like this is quieting down? Are they playing for their head coach's job security and the run that they're on? If they're able to continue this, does this ensure that he'll get another crack at being the head coach?
By the way, I want to clarify. It's 4th and 1 at the 43. They're up by 8. The Saints had just used their second timeout. So if you punt the ball in, they got to go the length of the field, get the 2-point conversion to beat you with 1 timeout. You can't go for that in that scenario and give him the ball there. And he did. He went for it. He got stuffed. Ollie Gordon got stuffed. And next thing you know, it's a ball game. And that 2-point conversion actually saved them in that scenario.
Yeah. You know, to piggyback off of Rana, thank you for clarifying. You know who this Miami Dolphins team reminds me of? Last year's Florida Gators team. When we were sitting here talking about Billy Napier, not if, but when Billy Napier got fired, the team was throwing in the towel, their season was done, it was over. And then somehow they pulled it together. They ended the season on a high note, and they had a lot of confidence going into the next season. That's where I am with Miami. They're going to end they're on pace right now. This little mini run is propelling them to having a good ending to their season. I'm not confident that this is going to be something that they build off of, and then next year they're just automatically a better football team.
No, but you hear that they don't want to fire him.
That's what I was going to say.
They didn't want to fire Billy Napier either.
Well, yeah, but Billy Napier made him fire him.
All I was going to say was that this reminds me a lot of the Dolphins team from, I believe it was in 2021, where they started out really terrible, and then they went on this little run at the end of the season, and I believe they won 7 or 8 games down the stretch. They got blown out by the Titans, I think, in that stretch as well. But either way, they had a push, and then it fell off. So, Rand, I'll come to you and give you last word here. When you look at the rest of their schedule, they've got the Jets, the Steelers, who we just saw play on Monday Night Football, and then the Bengals, Bucks, Patriots. Feels very like they could continue winning, maybe hit a little bit of a skid there with the Steelers and maybe the Bucks, but I don't know. What do you think about it? You said you don't think they can make the playoffs, so when you see the schedule, what do you think?
Looking at the schedule confirms that they won't they won't be able to make the playoffs. And just simply because you're playing a Cincinnati Bengals team that has Joe Burrow back. And we saw the way they looked the other night. You have Tampa Bay. They're going to need these wins down the stretch. And then the final game of the season is versus New England, who I think will be playing
Might not need it.
But they also, if Denver continues to win, they're going to be playing for the #1 seed, or at least we'll see New England starters for the first half of that game. And so these teams down the stretch that they're playing have something to play for, with the exception of, say, the Jets right now. And we don't know which version of Pittsburgh we're going to see when they play. If Aaron Rodgers is going to be healthy, which version of the defense are we going to be able to see? So I love what they've been able to do, how they've been able to pull it together. It's just going to be tough for them to make the playoffs.
Does this team make the playoffs?
No, hell no. Two cold weather games, you know how they wilt in the cold weather. There's no chance they're going to go make the playoffs.
I'm not going to say hell no, but I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no. A healthy no.
A healthy no.
Okay, maybe next year, Miami. But you did mention the Jets. The Jets very clearly not going to get into this postseason picture.
Yes.
But they have now won 3 games this year. Your boy Nick Folk with the game-winning field goal there. Uncle Nick, we were all up there celebrating. But I think the Jets, while they haven't already been eliminated from postseason contention, it's just a matter of when, not if here. So when you look at the current NFL draft order, fellas, here's how it shakes out. Of course, the Titans currently holding on to that top spot. But we see the Jets picking at number 6. I default to our resident GM on set here. When you're the Jets, what do you do with the rest of the season? Do you try to improve that stock? Do you try to prove a point if you're Aaron Glenn? How do you manage the rest of the season?
Listen, you have to try to win every game because it doesn't secure that you're going to have a job next year, right? And it allows your team to build confidence. When I was in San Francisco that first year under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, we started the season with 9 straight losses. Right, pretty much knowing that you were going to go into it with a top 5 pick, and then down the stretch to end the season, we ended the season with 5 straight wins. Found our stride, and it gave us confidence throughout the offseason and carrying into the next season. So that's where this Jets team is right now. Trust me, they could care less about the draft position. They're well positioned because of the moves they made. They're going to have enough cracks added to be able to get good players on this team. But every win that they get from here on out is going to help build that program and show everyone that Aaron Glenn's way is the right way.
Look, they got a ton of draft picks over the course of the next 3 years, ton of premium draft picks. So if they go into this draft, they don't like a quarterback where they're currently at, or maybe being able to move up and get one, you go into the next draft, and when there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks in that draft, they're well positioned. If they don't panic, they're in a great situation. But we know how that works with these owners in this league. They all panic, and they all start making these guys make irrational decisions. So if they don't panic, they're in a good situation.
We got about 30 seconds. My last question to you. When you look at the Jets' schedule, Dolphins, Jags, Saints, Pats, Bills. Do the Jets win another game this season?
Say that one more time.
Dolphins.
Dolphins, okay.
Jaguars, Saints, Patriots, Bills.
I think they can pick one up against the Saints.
Or the Dolphins.
Or the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Or the Dolphins, potentially. But my initial thought, based on how I've seen the Saints play as of recently, I'd go Saints.
Go Saints. So just that one against the Saints. Okay, we'll see how it all shakes out. Time for our final break here on Game Day Recap. You know what that means. On the other side, we're talking winners and losers. That's next. Stay with us. Final few minutes here on Game Day Recap, and you know how we love to spend it. It is Week 13, Winners and Losers edition. We've got some unique winners and losers in this week's conversation. So as always, we are kicking things over to Pete Prisco. Who's your winner?
Kyle Shanahan. He's never been Coach of the Year. He's finished runner-up a couple of times, but never has been the Coach of the Year in this league. And he has his team at 9-4, despite all the injuries. And their schedule, by the way, coming out of the bye, they go to the bye this week. They have the Titans at home, they have the Colts, the Bears, and they close with the Seahawks. I think they're going to get to 11 wins, and 11 wins will get them in the playoffs. And to do that with this team is truly, might be his best coaching job of all of them.
Very important, because at the beginning of the season, that's all we were talking about was the injuries and how far this team was going to go. So I like that one. Rand, what you got?
For me, man, I went with my guy, Ernest Jones IV. He had 12 tackles today. He had 2 picks, including a pick 6. And this was his first game back. He was injured last week against his former team, the Titans. And to bounce back with this type of performance, especially from a linebacker, he really came in and provided a spark for the Seattle defense. So went with you, Ernest. Great job today, man.
Yeah, I'm sticking on the same side of the ball. I'm going defense as well. Former teammate of mine, played with him in Buffalo. Christian Bedford had an interception, a fumble return for a touchdown. 50th career game, first career touchdown. Hats off to Christian Bedford.
I love that pick. I love defense. I'm going to swing over to the offense. So I'm just going to go team here. I'm going Carolina Panthers. I love that they have been able to take down 2 big powerhouses in the NFL to this point. They have 7 wins as an underdog this season, 7 upsets as well. Bryce Young is cooking. And Carolina, if you want us back in your hype video, just let us know.
I literally was about to say, y'all better put my girl in that hype video.
I'm literally happy to help continue the winning success. So I'm going Panthers on the winning side. As far as my loser goes, I'm going Sunday, Week 13, because the games that we saw today were just no fun to watch. Even when we saw that Bills-Steelers game get underway, I think that was the one game that we were like, oh, let's be excited, and it also stunk. So Week 13 Sunday games are my loser.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, look at the guy's face. I mean, did you see Pete? What did he do again, Pete? How is he look? I mean, the guy looked like Rocky Balboa out there. I mean, absolute. He got the. I can't even say. Yeah, I can't even say what I really want to say. But he got mugged tonight. He got mugged, and they lost the game. On top of that, he broke his nose on top of breaking his wrist. Bad night for the old man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with one of my former teams, the Atlanta Falcons. They are 1-6 in their last 7 games. And this loss that they had today was a loss that they really needed, especially with teams in their division. The standings are starting to come jumbled, and they had a chance to really kind of put themselves in position to still have a chance and have a shot at making the playoffs today. And they just continue this downward trajectory. Like I said, 1-6 over these last 7 games, and that was after an impressive win against Buffalo, which we thought, okay, this Atlanta team has arrived and they're going to take off, because this is a very talented team on both offense and defense, and they just hadn't been able to put it all together.
And my loser is the Los Angeles Rams. You come across the country, something you've done very well in your history under Sean McVay, and you lose to the Carolina Panthers by turning the ball over. Matt Stafford, two interceptions, 1 a pick 6, lost a key fumble. So it's basically they're the loser, but it's also a bit of a winner. Why? Because it reminds us once again, nobody's any damn good in this league.
No one is any good. Is that a mic drop? Can we hit the promo there? I don't got anything else to say there. Nobody's any good. You know, we love tricks and we love treats here on Game Day Recaps. We actually have a little bit of a treat for you guys. We're celebrating 25 years at CBS Sports.
So I'm Junior.
Uncle Junior. Yes, you are Uncle Junior.
He's too nice compared to me.
No, you are Uncle Junior for a lot of other reasons that we won't go into.
So, Pete, you know we love you here at CBS Sports HQ. We got a little compilation of your best moments here across 25 years.
Oh, my God. This ought to
thought
be
it,
good.
but now we know it. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the National Football League. There is no more debate. He showed that in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, king, coronation, put the crown on his head.
And crying with your mommy is a little much for me. That's the big difference.
This was
Who's popping their head in? Yeah, who's speaking of serial killers? Who just walked in the room, Pete?
What we're witnessing is a game breaking a man. You're broken. You're broken.
I've played golf with Jack, and I can just look at him and tell him he's never been an athlete in his life. I don't play baseball. He played with at college at some baseball at some school.
You are angry,
any
Pete,
kid.
today. Angry, Pete.
Jamie's son could play on Jack's baseball team.
Loser! You're a loser!
Wow.
Oh,
Never change, Pete. Never
never
change.
will.
I wish that I would have known that we were doing this today, because I would have had a backpack to present to you. But we're on a backpack.
Hey, I got one for him. I got a brand new CBS backpack.
All you
Fresh in the
college
crib.
guys got their backpacks. I don't know why. Oh, wait, what backpack? Nobody ever got one.
Mystery
Hey, I got one for you. Don't you worry, Pete.
Pete, we are so
Thank
happy to
you.
have you here at
We are.
CBS.
Thank you.
We are blessed to have you on Game Day Recap. We will see you guys next week with more Pete Prisco and more, hopefully, better football. Who's any good? We'll have to wait and see.
Nobody.